right, so what has happened is we have put your clay into the kiln and now it is white. It's a little more solid. It is still breakable, of course, so just be careful. Today we are going to be glazing. So here's two of the examples that I had from earlier. If you notice, it's actually, these are an experiment, but if you notice, it has a little bit of shine to it on the outfit, and then not really a lot of shine around on the red. However, if you look really closely, you'll see that there is shininess on the beard on both of these, and that is because I used a clear cone 5. So I'm just going to kind of talk about the differences of the glaze, because the glaze does different things. So the cone 5, there's a glass finish. You can't mix it with other colors or go on top of it. So the cone 5 is going to be our clear that we're going to be adding if you want a glassy finish. The underglaze that we're going to be using today is a cone 6. And that is where you can layer colors on top of each other. You're not going to be mixing colors, but you can add small details. So at the end of this, you need to decide if you want a glassy finish or if you don't. Because if you want a glassy finish, you're going to be adding the clear on top. So kind of like a clear coat of nail polish. So you're going to be adding this clear on top. And the clear will turn out like this. And it looks pink, but this is what it looks like. It looks pink, but after it goes into the kiln, it will turn into this. So you're going to be painting with the underglaze, which is a matte finish, which means it won't be shiny like this, like the pink that you see. It won't be shiny. But if you want it to be clear, or if you want it to be shiny, you're going to add the clear. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. Might be a little confusing. So these are my samples. I'm going to put those aside because I am going to do this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. Okay, actually, I want to go over a couple of rules. Okay, so rule number 1, and I'm going to hang this up to show you, but this is rule number 1. Please don't put any glaze on the bottom of your piece. So that means we're not going to be putting any glaze on the bottom. You can put it on the sides, but you're not putting it on the bottom because this is going to go on the kiln and the kiln floor. And we're creating a glass. If we do that, it will fuse to the floor of the kiln. So please do not put any glaze on the bottom of your piece. Sides and tops only. Okay, glazing rules. Glazing rule number 1, keep the brushes with the glaze. So we'll have red stations and green stations and peach and beige stations and clear stations. You're going to keep the brushes with the glaze. You don't mix them together. With the glazes that we're going to be using today, you can do details, and I'll kind of show you what details you can do. But we're not mixing the brushes with the glaze. We want to be able to use the glaze again if we have enough, and we don't want to contaminate with a different color. Okay, we're going to use the brush lines, or use the brush to make even straight lines, and I'll be talking about that in a minute. But that just means like you're going to take your brush and use the brush to make a straight line. So if you kind of see how I'm using the edge of my brush to make a straight line. We'll talk about that in a minute. We're not just gonna take our brush and just start like going like this. We're gonna use the edge of the brush to make some straight lines. So see how I'm kind of just like using the edge of my brush to make straight lines. So we don't just like start globbing it on like a kindergartner, okay? This is really important. We're gonna paint 3 coats. So you're going to paint 1 coat and you're going to let it dry. Then you're going to repeat. You're going to do that 3 times, okay? The last one we're actually able, this is when we're only using regular glaze. We're using underglaze where you can overlap colors, so we don't need to worry about number 4. So basically, number 1, keep the brushes with the glaze. We're not going to mix the brushes up. We're going to use the brush to make even straight lines, and we're going to paint 3 coats. Let 1 coat dry and then repeat. Okay, so now I'm gonna glaze I'm gonna start glazing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just dip my brush into the red, and I'm gonna use my brush so see how I'm not just globbing it on, it's like I'm coloring it. I'm gonna use the edge of my brush to make even straight lines. So we're gonna be creating 3 coats. So I'm just coating it on here. You want it to make even because we're gonna come back and do another coat. So you just wanna make an even coat of that. Again, I'm going right here and I'm making an even coat, just using my brush. And it dries really quickly, so when I say that you want to let it dry before your next coat, well, it's already dry, so I could essentially do my next coat. So you're just gonna wanna make sure you get in the little, like, you wanna get all the little pieces, you want it to be nice and neat. There's different size brushes, so you know, if you want to get a smaller brush for the smaller parts, you can. Also, you're going to want to pick it up gently, and you're going to want to do the sides. Again, you're not going to get the bottom. Okay. Just try to evenly make a line across the bottom. So you want to try to really use that brush to make an even line so that it's straight and not just globbed on. Okay. Okay. So then after I have, and then I'm gonna get the little tip of the hat. After I have my first coat, you're gonna go ahead and do a second and third. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I will be right back. Okay, so I've done 3 coats of red, and notice that it's nice and even. I've done the sides 3 times, so I've done 3 coats. Now we're gonna go ahead and do the face and the nose and the beard. So just to let you know, this is the biggest size, or I'm sorry, the smallest size that we have. If you want smaller, I do have smaller, you just need to make sure to ask me if you want a small for the tiny, tiny details. I'm gonna need small for his little nose, so just make sure that if you need smaller to ask. Notice that I've left my red right here. I'm not going to be using that right now because I'm going to be using new brushes that go with the other size paint. Or not size, that go with the other paint glaze. Okay, so I am going to do the beige face. Actually, no, I'm gonna do peach, but we have beige and also peach. You can do whatever color you'd like. So again, they're gonna do the same thing, but you're gonna wanna really use some fine motor skills here for this, because this is very tiny. So you're gonna do the same thing where you are going to do 3 coats. So I'm actually gonna do the face first, and then I'm gonna go over and do my red nose, because I think I'm gonna do a red nose. We also have some pink, if you wanna use that. So you wanna make sure to get the little parts. You really wanna make sure you get, if you get like in the white, you can kind of scrape it off. Kind of wanna wiggle it in there. Okay, and then again, just let it dry. And then you can come back to that. I'm gonna actually, okay, I'm actually gonna do a red. So again, now I can pick up this red because I already used it, but then I'm just gonna be using a smaller brush, I think. I'll try to use this one. So I'm just kind of going over. Try to get in any little nooks on the side, and then let that dry.